And all I want is some people to go in there and do, and use it.
So there will be only one business?
Only one, yeah. But we tried to get the permit and they wouldn't give it to them. I don't know why, it's commercial.
Was there a business license inspection done for that?
So the concern is at this point that that portion of the property is constructed as 4 separate residential units with an attached, like an enclosed garage in between the middle of them, off the rear of the property.
That's not the one.
Yes,
That's not the one.
So
It's not the one.
what we would request is that the city code enforcement department have an opportunity to present our findings during the inspection and then present our case in front of the board so the board can make a ruling on our findings and decisions, as we have presented here. I thought that today was going to be the hearing date because we haven't technically had a hearing on the property yet. So it's been continuances to allow the owners to decide, who's going to deal with the issue with the land contract involved. However, our concern is the way in which it's being occupied, the lack of permits to account for the existence of residential units there, and then whoever's going to be found responsible for the property, hire a licensed commercial contractor to submit plans on how they're going to convert it back to a commercial use.
So I'm a little bit less concerned about the violation, which we can deal with, I think, as we kind of move forward. I'm more concerned about like, hey, if an inspection's needed to get a commercial use in there, let's do that. Let's see what we can do to help Ms. Herrera get a tenant in there, and then we can always deal with the violations, because the violations are a little bit involved with the litigation a bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so I don't want to unnecessarily delay improvement of this property. So like what Nick said, right? Like there needs to be a look to see what needs to be changed from its current setup to what needs to get it to where we want it to be, which if it's zoned properly, a commercial use. So if we can do that, and we can help Ms. Herrera out, and then we can always deal with the violations, I think, at whatever time we need to deal with those. I just don't want to delay things unnecessarily.
As for the commercial use now, I suggest you go to zoning, let them know what you intend to do,
Yeah,
what business you intend to do there, and then we'd have a business inspection done and make sure that we're going to be safe in doing
Yeah,
that
the
operation.
mechanic was already working in there. It's a mechanic.
We're not sure if he should be working in there, doing what he is doing. That's one of the things we're going to check as far as
They
zoning.
can go check it.
Yeah,
And see, it's good for me too. I want to make
So
sure
you have a tenant,
I don't have
commercial
nobody.
tenant. You have
No, there is.
a business.
Yeah, it's empty.
You have a prospective tenant, though, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So I think the best plan would be to schedule some kind of inspection, have zoning determine if it's zoned for what the proposed use is, and we'll move forward from there. And Mr. Peterson is scheduling some inspections with experts, too, as part of this litigation. So let's get some inspections going and see if this is legal, what they want to do, and try to move forward.
So I'm trying to figure out what the best thing to do in that regard. Is that you submit a business license application? Don, is that?
That's what I would do, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Guys, is that?
Through zoning.
Because that'll help with inspections?
Yeah, that should be fine. If she has a commercial tenant lined up, if they fill out the business license application and get submitted, then we go through that process of approval.
So your tenant needs to do that.
They came here and they tried multiple times and they refused.
Well, now
It's going to be.
we're kind of trying to move through that.
Yeah, so that'll, Mr. Smith's very good about
Thank you.
these things.
Yes.
We'll get this
Yes,
taken care of.
Thank you very much.
And I just want to, Nick, are you satisfied with kind of how we're going to move forward then on this?
Yeah, I understand, that's fine.
Okay.
We would like to just make the best and probably most, like the quickest way she could probably move forward is to have a contractor licensed general contractor who will be able to walk through the property and lay out what he would need to do, what work he would need to do in order to have the property comply with the business operation.
So you need to talk to Mr. Peterson about that, because he's going to have some.
But she wouldn't want to do that, though, until she knows it's zoned properly, correct?
But I believe it's C4.
Until Mr. Peterson's inspectors come through and get the results, we work, coordinate with them as far as what's going to be done and if it can be commercial or residential.
But the application for the application by her prospective tenant will trigger the zoning review.
Yes.
So that needs to get done. That's the very first thing you need to get done.
So if we set this for 60 days, that's enough to figure out zoning, doing an inspection and all that stuff, correct?
That's correct.
Probably? Okay.
July 27th?
July 27th at 9?
We can do July 27th or August 3rd. Which,
Which one?
Make it August 3rd.
August 3rd, okay.
okay.
And we appreciate your patience. She's trying to work through all
Oh,
this very difficult.
we hope she succeeds, so,
And we want to make this right, so.
gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
recommend we set this for status for August 3rd, 2023.
And I concur. Okay, moving on to letter B. Correspondence received from Reeve Riley requesting road closure of Homan Avenue between Sibley Street and Russell Street beginning June 1st, 2023 through August 11th, 2023 for the Homan Avenue reconstruction project.
Thank you for hearing this action. So the contractor has requested a full closure of Homan Avenue between Sibley and Russell Street. We could keep 2 lanes of traffic open under the first phase, but there's no possible way to keep lanes of traffic open and construct the center median with angle parking and keep 1 lane of traffic open in both directions. I mean, it's just not possible. So what happens is then Sibley, and they'll open Sibley as quick as they can, but the east approach to Homan Avenue will be closed. The Fayette approach to Homan Avenue from the east side will also be closed. Russell will remain open, but as you know, it's dead-ended at the new Westlake corridor, right? So that's going to be open in 2 directions. And Russell will be reopened completely through, because right now, currently, Russell is closed from the west approach. Munich Court remains closed. Rimbach will then be closed from the west, coming towards Homan Avenue, right? Because Homan will be closed for the construction. And this will be through August 11th. Earlier this week, I had an opportunity to meet with Mayor and others and clarify the action that's being requested. And Mayor's given his approval for this action to take place. The expectation is that they will begin this change tomorrow, even though it says June 1st. They have some things they have to do between now and tomorrow morning to make the shift, and so they're prepared to do that. So I wouldn't change the action, but just so that you're aware, that starts the official shift starts tomorrow. The good thing is that, for example, southbound Homan to westbound Sibley will be reopened, right? So that's going to reopen, which will make, sort of alleviate the problem that the grocery store has, Strack and Van Til has, with their peculiar route to get through. But obviously, anybody coming northbound on Homan to downtown would have to go to State Line to get to Strack's. We've made notifications to the businesses in the area. The contractor and engineer have done that for us so that they're aware of what's going on. Engineering, the department has received numerous phone calls, and we're working with the businesses to make sure that they're aware of the condition. And so we recognize that this is sort of a difficult situation, but really the only way to get this project done this year is to do this closure. As the board knows, this project started sort of late spring of last year, and we had some delays related to a labor strike. And then we had a cement shortage, and so what we thought we could get done last year didn't, and so we're asking for the board's approval for this action.
Okay.
Okay, I recommend approval of Ruth Riley's request.
Yeah, I will concur.
Thank you.
Moving on to letter C, request received from Montessori Children's Schoolhouse for a school zone sign to be placed on Waltham.
So this is in my court, and I regret that I haven't finished my action. It's in fact necessary, but we want to make sure we've got all the bases covered, Homan Avenue and Waltham. And so I just need to put a figure together to make recommendation to this board and to have Public Works install those signs. So we've sort of been focusing on some of the Hammond public schools on busy corridors, like Edison School, for example, Hammond High School. We've sort of focused on the need for improving signage at those locations. So this one got overlooked, and I apologize, and we'll get right on it.
Do we need to defer it then?
Yeah, if you want to just
A week or two?
Yeah, if you want to just let me give you an update in 2 weeks. We should all be done by then.
Okay,
June 15th?
yeah,
Okay, I recommend we set this for June 15th for a status.
and I concur.
Thank you.
Thank you. Letter D, Golden Cuts Barbershop, 173rd and Columbia, requesting permission to temporarily use curbside parking in front of building for approximately 2 to 3 months in order to construct a parking lot for the business. Anybody here from Golden Cuts Barbershop?
Over the weekend, Golden Cuts was creating their parking lot, so we had to put up a stop work order. They're going to have to go through zoning and make sure that they'll be able to use that south portion as a parking lot. I can certainly understand their need for on-site parking, and I believe south of that, the residents are allowed to park on the street. I think if we have some yellow curb, it can keep them away from the intersection itself. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be able to park there while people are getting a haircut. So I think there's only 2 seats in the barber shop, so it shouldn't be overly crowded.
I think the only other thing I noticed about the place, actually looks like a great paint job, but it looked like they had something going on like with chalk or like some sort of,
That's been taken care of, so we had it removed for them.
yeah, that's like a no-go in my
Was
book.
it, was it
So-
right? It wasn't go right.
They painted over it. Okay, that's good to hear as well. So, I mean, it sounds like great new business. I'm glad they're there, but we just want them to, you know, comply with all signage. And if the recommendation from Kelly is to, you know, they won't use a lot of the street, I think we should just delineate how many spots we're talking about for them. And Linda said something that did Brian refer it to Board of Works? Or it was
We
referred?
wanted Brian's input,
Okay,
right, because of the parking lot and the necessary number of spaces that would be needed for the business. I think everything that Kelly said is spot on. My point really, though, is that it's a public street, right, and so you're allowed to park. I don't see anything, at least from my perspective, in the request that says that they want to designate parking on the street for their business. But it's similar to the situation that occurred up on the boulevard up in Robertsdale, where the business said, I need parking in front of my building, and it's a public street. You can't prevent a resident from parking on the street that could potentially take a spot in front of this business.
I agree
can't
with,
like reserve it only for the business.
but I think that's what they're implying. They might not be asking directly, but I think that's what they're implying. They're implying that they want spots in front of their business. At least that's how I read it.
So are they going to put a sign on the street saying that this space in front of the business is for haircutting between the hours of, I mean, this is,
They also have plenty of room on 173rd Street.
Towards the church.
Yeah, towards the church, and then there's residents behind the actual barber shop there, so there's several spots that they could use there also. And they have 4 parking spots in the back off the alley.
Okay, so ultimately, we're denying the request. That's the recommendation?
I mean,
Kind of, sort of, or are we?
well, their customers are free to park on the public street.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I would.
If they're not open, they're not open. They
Yeah,
gotta
just
find
let them
them.
know, like, look, we can't designate spots for you. However, the street is open for your customers parking as long as it doesn't create a nuisance and and you're not parking illegally.
Okay. And Linda will make that notification to them with that news? Okay.
Okay, I recommend approval of the request.
And we're not approving their request. We're,
No.
what should we do? How should this be worded?
Gonna ask that, you're right.
The request is that they've been given designated spots on the street, that would be.
That's right. So we're denying the request. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think it needs to be clear to them that we're denying it. If their request, I haven't seen the actual written request. If the written request is, we are asking for designated spots, my recommendation, along with I think Kelly means, is we're denying. However, we are approving their ability, which is everyone's ability to park on this. They can use the street parking for their commercial purposes.
Okay. You got that, Donnie?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to reiterate this, we're going to deny the request for the parking designated signs, and that they can use the spots in front of business for parking for their customers.
And I will concur. Okay, moving on to letter E. Resident Rachel Adam requesting a residential sign in front of her house.
I haven't had a chance to look at this action. If you could refer to engineering so we could at least sort of see the condition. I understand that there are residential parking only signs in this segment. I haven't had a chance to take a look at it. That won't take long. But it's my understanding is that she just wants one in front of her house to be clear that it's for resident parking.
Yeah, there was,
Seems reasonable.
yeah, there was a question a week ago or a week and a half ago that maybe 1,900, 2,000, and maybe even 1,800 have resident-only parking signs. There was a question whether they should be there or not, so maybe that's something you can check also. But I do know that Chief Smith, Fire Department Chief Smith, said that there's a lot of traffic now due to that apartment building that got built, Notre Dame there, so that might be a problem. So I don't know if you want to check all three of those blocks, if you could. 2,000,
So the
1,900,
concern,
1,800.
is the concern then that people living in the apartment building are parking on the street?
All the business around there, but yes, that's true also. That because of all the downtown traffic, they're parking on those streets. That's why the resident-only parking signs were put up. I just don't know if they were supposed to be put up or not. And why she needs one directly in front of her house if they're all along the street. I don't understand that part either.
It's kind of the same thing, like, we're not gonna designate a spot just for her.
That's what I kind of
So,
agree with
At the
you.
same time, we have a process for resident-only parking, right? And so if it is important enough to have on that street because of commercial, a lot of times it exists around commercial areas where you have run-over commercial parking, like, let's say 173 in Columbia, the barber shop all of a sudden has 50 cars every day. We're probably gonna tell the residents that, you know, there'll be somebody that comes in and says, hey, I live on Columbia in the 7300 block, 7400 block, and I got barbershop cars down.
Place to
right?
park, yeah.
So, yeah, that's usually the situation. I guess number one, like, you know, President Long mentioned, Dean, can we look at whether or not that was why they were initially put in on these other blocks, and then whether or not it needs to be expanded based on commercial activity? I know what you're saying. Basically, like, well, what's going to stop somebody in the apartment? Apartment is a resident.
Yeah.
Somebody in the apartment would have every right to park on the street, just like if they're a resident.
Yeah, I mean, I am a resident. It says resident-only parking. I'm parking here because I live here.
Unless we're going to do stickers, and that's a whole nother.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I don't want to get involved in if we don't have to.
No.
But if you could just check, Dean, those three blocks, see if they do have the signs and if they're supposed to be there, and then what your recommendation is after that. That I would appreciate.
Okay, okay.
So status for the 15th, sir?
Sure.
Okay. I
Thank you.
recommend referring this to engineering and setting a status date for June 15th.
And I will concur. Okay, moving on, number 11, rental registration hearings. We'll start with 1311 Lakeview Avenue. It looks like there's two. Come on up, ma'am.
I am here representing my son.
Could you give us your name, please?
Lisa Lewis.
Okay.
Lewis.
Okay,
And his son is Anthony Lowe.
okay,
A.D. Lowe Jr. And that's the address. He has an apartment building there with it's 2 units.
okay,
And came up here to register for the registration for the building. And I think they said we were a couple of days too late, so, because the guy that he bought it from is not very good with communication, so he didn't let us know, and we didn't know about the dates. This is his first building.
okay.
So we have him listed as the owner as of 7/14 of '22. This is a 2-unit, with one of the units being occupied by the owner, correct?
Correct.
Okay. It looks like we're here for one rental unit registration for 2023. The only other thing that I would request is that the owner fill out the homestead adjustment form, as there's a full homestead being claimed on this 2-unit property. The fact that he occupies one of the units does entitle him to a partial homestead, so we would just ask that he complete the highlighted areas and then have this returned to us so we can have it filed with Lake County, as it is stipulated that a portion of the property is not eligible for the homestead tax exemption, but his unit is. So we would just request that the owner finish that application with the highlighted areas and get that back to us so we can file it appropriately. Other than that, this is his first time as the owner of the 2-unit property.
Okay, first time you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I recommend that we waive the late fee and he takes care of the affidavit.
And I concur. So I want to make a general statement to everybody that's here. So every year you have from January 1st to April 15th to register, so everybody has that in mind. Whatever decision we make today, if you wish to wait till the meeting's over, you can take a copy. Linda's going to get a copy. You could take it downstairs and register if you'd like. You don't have to. You have 60 days, but that's up to you if you want to. So I just want to make sure everybody knows those things before we move forward. It's 30, okay, 30 days. Sorry about that, 30 days. So, ma'am, you can stay till after the meeting's over and register if you'd like to.
Okay,
Okay? Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, moving on to letter B, 905 State Street. Looks like there's 3 of them. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Could you give us your name, please?
Miguel Franco.
Okay?
Just explain to them why you missed this current year for the rental registration.
The thing is that I'm doing some renovation. Back to the prior of last year, I had evicted some people out of there, which left some damages. And, well, I need some more extra time in order to finish up.
So it looks like we have Mr. Frankel listed as the owner of the property since '98. This is a 3-unit with one of the units occupied.
2008, I'm sorry.
1998. Like you've owned the property.
That was my father.
Okay.
He transferred it to me.
Right, yeah, and that's fine. It's just, I'm giving them a history of the property, that's all.
Okay,
So it looks like we have a 3-unit, now you occupy one of the apartments, correct?
yes.
Okay, so, it looks like we failed to register, the 2 rental units for 2023. The property has been registered on time in previous years. So other than that, so just 2 rental units, and then, yeah, it's been registered on time since the ownership of the property.
Nick, can we just clarify, the 2 units, you said renovation, were they in fact being rented for this year?
No,
Nobody was in the 2 apartments this year?
no.
That's what the part I was,
Yeah, if, we'd have to verify that there were permits issued. Now,
Does-
technically, he shouldn't be making any repairs or remodeling to any of the units other than his own. So, I mean, we can verify the occupancy. When you have a 3-unit, when they're all on the same property and 1 water meter, it's hard to differentiate between what's, a singular individual's use versus maybe a tenant for a couple months or, something like that, so.
okay.
Typically.
But you intend to rent it out at some point this year, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Then
I
we're
need
good.
some income in order to continue on.
Okay, that's good enough for us, okay. Yeah,
Okay, I recommend that we waive the late fee for 2 units.
and I will concur. Thank you, sir. We waive the late fees. You can register at the end of today's meeting if you'd like, okay?
Okay.
Moving on to letter C, 6148 McCook.
6148 McCook, anybody here?
Thank you.
So this would be under Mr. Evans. It looks like they have a California address. Ms. McCook, he's the only owner of record. And, okay, fantastic. All right, Mr. Evans, if you'd like, the board is listening. Perfect. So it looks like we have 6148 McCook. Mr. Evans is the only owner of record. This is a single-family home. We are here for 2022 and 23. The only other time there was any issues was previously in 2015. There was a hearing where the board waived the late fee for missing the 2014 rental registration. Other than that, it's been registered on time each year.
Okay, Mr. Evans, can you hear me? Okay, keep in mind that we usually only extend the courtesy of waiving the late fee one time, because the last time was 9 years ago. I'm inclined to do it again, but you have to make sure that this doesn't happen again going forward. Okay? Okay, sounds good.
I recommend you waive the late fees for 2022 and 2023.
And I concur. Thank you, Mr. Evans. Yes?
How do you pay for both now? If he's getting a check for this year and we return, so how do we catch up on the fee?
Nick?
Yeah, so, the check that was sent this year would have been returned. So this finding and decisions today includes both 2022 and 23. So, once you receive the finding and decisions, you can send in the, a rental registration form completely filled out for 22 and 23, and then a check payment of $10, and we can process both the years. Yes, yeah. You just have to make sure that we receive it within 30 days from today's date.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to letter D, 7739 Bertram Avenue. 7739 Bertram Avenue. Ms. Cordero?
Hello, yes, I'm President Overshoot.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Can you please let us know what happened last year?
Yes, so it was my first rental and I wasn't aware that I was supposed to register it. So that's why I didn't register it last year.
So 7739 Bertram, we have Ms. Cordero as the owner, April 19th, 21. This is a single-family home. We're here for 2022, and it was registered on time for 2021.
Okay, Ms. Cordero, I'm sure you probably have heard what I've said a couple of times already, but just make sure that this doesn't happen again, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah, I recommend waiving of the late fees.
and I will concur. Thank you, Ms. Cordero.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, moving on to letter E, 4344 Torrance Avenue. Good morning, sir.
Morning. My name is Lupe Garcia. I actually own the 4344 Torrance and the F6634 Harrison. I just simply forgot to register the units this year, just slipped my mind.
Okay.
4344 Torrance, we have Melissa as the owner since July 1st of 2020. It's a single-family home. We're here for 2023 and on time since he's taken ownership. And then the Harrison property is a 2-unit, owner as February 28th of 20, and we're here for 2023 as well, registered previously. So both properties are for 2023. After taking ownership, you registered previously for the 2 years, and then just missed this, was late this current year.
Okay, I think we're gonna act on both at the same times. Letter E is 4344 Torrance Avenue, and letter F, 6634 Harrison Avenue. Go ahead, Donnie.
I recommend that we waive the late fees for both addresses.
Thank you.
And I will concur. Thank you, sir. Moving on to letter G, 905 Merrill. There's 2, looks like. Good morning, ma'am.
My name is Sita Chatterjee, and I don't have any excuse. I thought I mailed it, and then I found the check just a few days after with the whole paperwork somewhere in my house. I started a new job, so I'm a little more scattered. And that's all the excuse I have. I found it, I mailed it 2 days late, and they sent it back to me.
Well, I can't tell you how many checks I found that I thought I mailed. I didn't, so I get it. Yeah, go ahead.
905 Merrill is a 2-unit property, listed as the owner May 23rd of 2015. This is the first time we have it showing that it was late.
Yes.
Okay, that's good enough.
Okay, I recommend that we waive the late fee for 905 Merrill.
And I
Thank you.
concur. Thank you,
Thank you.
ma'am.
There's one more that's not on the agenda.
Yeah, 4610 Pine. 4610 Pine. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. So I'm Nancy Kinsella. I own this building. Last year, I have no excuse. Basically, I had a transportational issue, and I remember thinking that I needed to mail my registration in. Apparently, I did not. And when I came in this year, I was told that I had missed last year. So I apologize. And that's what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the board members, this is the one that was set over due to some discrepancies in, our system, our notes, and lack of an agreement that was, I guess, made a few years back. So this is a 3-unit property. It looks like Ms. Casas is correct that she was 22 and subsequently now 23 is owed. So this, I don't show any previous issues with the rental registration is concerned. My only concern was to ensure that, the correct number of units were being registered. So we have a 3-unit for 2022 and 23, and it was registered previously on that.
You're satisfied with that now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 3 units for 2 years?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No problems before, you said?
No.
Okay.
All right, I recommend waiving the late fee for all 3 units, 4610 Pine.
And I concur.
And
Thank you, ma'am.
Appreciate it.
Okay, the meeting's open to the public. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say? Okay, Donnie,
Okay, I recommend that we, meeting adjourned.
and I concur. Thank you, everyone.